Stop translating in your head. 4 simple habits to think directly in English. Do you understand English but still can't speak fluently? If so, you're not alone. For many learners, the real problem is the habit of mentally translating every single word from their native language. This process leaves you feeling stuck between 2 languages, making your speech slow, stressful, and unnatural. But this is a habit you can break, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Here are 4 powerful, actionable strategies to help you stop translating, start thinking directly in English, and finally speak with the confidence you deserve. If you want more practical tips to improve your English faster, make sure to subscribe to English Uncovered. Let's go. 1. Learn full ideas, not single words. The secret to bypassing translation is to learn and memorize short sentences, not individual words. When you only memorize isolated vocabulary, your brain is forced to do the slow, heavy lifting of assembling a full sentence from scratch each time you want to speak. You pause, you hesitate, and you mentally search for each piece, trying to put them together like puzzle fragments that don't quite fit. This process increases your cognitive load, drains your focus, and turns every conversation into a mental workout instead of a natural exchange. Learning full ideas, on the other hand, creates a direct pathway between thought and expression, what experts call language chunks or lexical phrases. These are ready-to-use sentence patterns that your brain can retrieve instantly without translation. Think about it this way. Native speakers don't construct every sentence word by word. They rely on stored combinations of words that flow automatically. When you learn English the same way, through complete, familiar chunks, you start to think and respond faster because your brain recognizes the pattern as one single unit. For example, instead of breaking down the words I, want, to, and sleep, learn the complete phrase I want to sleep as one connected idea. You'll notice something powerful happen. When you feel tired, your brain won't go through the process of translating eu quiero dormir or quiero dormir. It will simply recall the feeling of being tired and trigger the English phrase directly. That's fluency in action. The ability to express thoughts instantly without interference from your native language. You can start applying this method today. Create a list of short, useful sentences you can use in real situations. Things like, I'm on my way. That sounds great. I don't feel like going out. Or, can you help me with this? Don't just read them once. Repeat them aloud. Write them down. And listen to how native speakers naturally say them. The more you expose yourself to complete sentences, the more your brain begins to store these patterns subconsciously. Over time, this repetition builds a kind of mental library of ready-to-use expressions. Then, when you need to respond in conversation, you won't have to build a sentence. You'll simply choose one from that library and speak effortlessly. Another advantage of learning in full ideas is emotional connection. Each sentence carries meaning, emotion, and context, things that single words often lack. For example, learning the phrase, I can't wait to see you, not only teaches you grammar and vocabulary, but it also embeds an emotional tone of excitement and anticipation. That emotional link helps your brain remember the phrase faster and use it more naturally. In other words, the more emotion or personal relevance a phrase carries, the deeper it's encoded in your memory. So, Instead of filling your notebook with endless vocabulary lists, focus on mastering full expressions that reflect real communication. Watch short video clips, TV shows, or YouTube interviews in English and pay attention to how native speakers naturally connect words. Write down those recurring patterns. Things like, "You know what I mean?" or "I didn't see that coming," or "That's a good point." These are the invisible building blocks of fluency. Once you start thinking in chunks instead of words, English stops being a puzzle and starts feeling like a rhythm you can follow. Remember, fluency doesn't come from knowing every word in the dictionary. It comes from knowing how to use the words you already know, smoothly, automatically, and confidently. Learning full ideas gives you that power. It allows you to stop translating, start connecting, and finally speak with the natural flow you've always wanted.
2. Talk to yourself. Become your own practice partner. You don't need a partner to build speaking fluency. In fact, one of the most powerful and underrated techniques for improving your English is something you can do anytime, anywhere. Simply talk to yourself. Yes, you read that right. Talk to yourself in English. It might feel a bit strange at first, but this simple daily practice is one of the fastest ways to train your brain to think and speak naturally in English. Why? Because when you talk to yourself, you create a direct feedback loop between your thoughts, your voice, and your ears. You're not just memorizing words anymore. You're using them, hearing them, and internalizing how they sound when you say them. This process activates the same areas of the brain that real conversations do, making it an incredibly effective and totally private form of speaking practice. When you speak out loud, you're not only improving your vocabulary or pronunciation, you're also building what's known as speech muscle memory. Your mouth, lips, and tongue begin to learn the natural positions they need to form English sounds automatically. Over time, this physical familiarity helps you sound smoother, more confident, and less hesitant. Think of it like an athlete training their body for performance. Repetition creates instinct. The more you practice speaking English aloud, the less effort it takes for the words to flow. Soon, what once felt forced becomes second nature. The best way to start is by narrating your daily life in English. Describe simple, everyday actions out loud, as if you were explaining them to someone beside you. For example, when making your morning coffee, say things like, "I'm making coffee. The water is hot. I need a clean cup. This coffee smells good." As you move through your day, keep the narration going. "I'm leaving the house. I forgot my keys. The weather is nice today." It doesn't matter if no one hears you. What matters is that you're training your brain to link thoughts directly to English words. Even 5 minutes of this kind of self-talk every day can dramatically boost your fluency over time. Once you're comfortable with short sentences, take it further by expressing opinions or thoughts out loud. If you're watching a movie, pause and comment in English. "I didn't expect that ending," or "He shouldn't have done that." If you're reading something online, summarize it out loud. This article is about how technology affects communication. These small moments of verbal reflection simulate real conversation, helping you develop spontaneity and the ability to express ideas without overthinking. And the best part? You can do it anywhere, in your room, in the car, while cooking, or even during a walk. If you ever feel stuck on what to say, use prompts from structured speaking resources like the English Conversation Guide, a practical companion designed to help learners build confidence through real-life scenarios. It contains over 100 dialogues about everyday situations, from ordering food to small talk and job interviews. And each one comes with audio included, so you can listen, repeat, and model your pronunciation after natural speech. Practicing with those dialogues, then repeating them aloud to yourself, creates a bridge between controlled learning and spontaneous communication. It's like having your own English coach, available anytime you decide to speak. Talking to yourself may sound like a small habit, but it's a transformative one. It helps you overcome shyness, reduce hesitation, and make English feel like a natural part of your identity instead of a foreign skill you're trying to perform. Every time you speak out loud, you're not just practicing words, you're teaching your brain to own the language. So don't wait for a conversation partner or a perfect environment. You already have the best partner possible: yourself. Start today, talk more, and watch your fluency grow one sentence at a time. 3. Shift your inner monologue. Start thinking in English. If you truly want to stop translating in your head, you must train your brain to live in English, not just study it. One of the most effective ways to do that is by shifting your inner monologue, the constant voice inside your mind, from your native language to English. You see, your inner monologue is the language of your thoughts, the voice you hear when you plan your day, reflect on something that happened, or imagine a future conversation. If that voice operates in your native language, your brain will always try to translate before speaking. But when you start thinking directly in English, you remove that extra step completely. It's like switching your brain to a different operating system, one that processes information naturally, without translation lag. Constantly thinking in English trains your brain to stay in what I like to call English mode. It means your mind becomes comfortable receiving, processing, and expressing information in English, even when you're not actively studying or speaking. This mental shift is the foundation of true fluency. And the best part is that it doesn't require you to live in an English-speaking country. You can build this internal immersive environment anywhere, at home, on your commute, even while waiting in line. It's not about physical immersion, it's about mental immersion. When English becomes the language you think in, it becomes part of your identity, not just a subject you're trying to learn. The easiest way to begin is by turning your simple daily thoughts into English sentences in your head. As you move through your day, describe what you see, feel, or plan to do. For example, "It's a beautiful morning. He looks tired. That dress is blue. I forgot my keys." These may seem like small sentences, but they train your brain to form automatic English patterns around your daily experiences. Over time, you can expand them. "I think I'm going to make coffee before I start working," or "That movie looks interesting. I might watch it later." The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you'll catch yourself thinking in English without even realizing it. And that's when real transformation begins. Another effective exercise is to mentally rehearse conversations in English before they happen. Let's say you have a meeting at work, a phone call to make, or even a casual chat with a friend. In your head, start preparing how you might express your ideas in English. Imagine possible questions and how you'd respond. For example, if someone asks about my weekend, I'll say, "It was relaxing. I watched a great movie and cooked something new." This mental rehearsal does two things. It strengthens your vocabulary recall and reduces anxiety during real conversations because you've already spoken the sentences in your mind. You can also shift your inner monologue through exposure. Start consuming content that makes you think in English. Listen to podcasts, read articles, or watch YouTube videos that interest you. But here's the key. Don't just understand what you hear. Respond internally. When a host says something funny, think, "That's hilarious." When you read an inspiring quote, think, "That's so true. I needed to hear that." By reacting in English, you reinforce that it's your natural language of thought, not just a subject from a textbook. This habit transforms your mind into a 24/7 learning tool. English stops being something you switch on only during study sessions and becomes part of your mental operating system. The transition might feel slow at first, but even short moments of conscious practice, like spending 5 minutes describing what you see or mentally reviewing your day in English, create powerful progress over time. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking in your native language, pause and gently reframe that thought in English. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. The more often you do it, the faster your brain adapts. Soon, you'll realize something amazing. You're no longer translating your thoughts. You're living them in English. And that right there is the true definition of fluency.
4. Learn phrases. Context is more powerful than lists. Let's be honest. Most of us have tried memorizing endless vocabulary lists at some point. We tell ourselves that the more words we know, the better our English will be. But then something strange happens. A week later, all those words are gone. You see them and they look familiar, but when you try to use them, they just disappear. Why? Because words alone are like puzzle pieces scattered on a table. Without context, without connection, they don't form a clear picture. Language doesn't live in isolation, it lives in patterns. Every word you hear or speak is part of a structure, a rhythm, a situation. That's why the key to real fluency isn't just collecting words. It's learning phrases, real sentences that your brain can use instantly and naturally. When you learn phrases, you aren't memorizing isolated information, you're absorbing meaning, emotion, and usage all at once. Think about this. Learning the single word apple doesn't get you very far in an actual conversation. But when you learn, "I eat an apple every morning," or "Do you like apples?" something changes. You're no longer just naming an object, you're communicating a thought. Each of those phrases gives you grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation practice without you even realizing it. You learn the rules by using them, not by memorizing them. This approach mirrors how children learn their first language. They don't sit down and study grammar charts. They absorb full sentences from their parents and surroundings. They hear, "I want water," "It's time to sleep," "Come here." And over time, their brains start recognizing patterns. They learn to speak naturally because they've learned through context, not memorization. You can do the same. When you study a new word, don't learn it by itself. Attach it to real situations and expressions. Learn it in motion.
Instead of writing to run equals correr, write I run every morning or he's running late. Suddenly, you're no longer just storing vocabulary. You're building usable language. You're training your brain to recognize the natural flow of English and preparing yourself to speak without hesitation. The beauty of learning in phrases is that it shortens the distance between thought and speech. You don't have to pause, translate, and construct sentences piece by piece. You already have the sentences ready. Your brain simply picks the one that fits the moment. That's the secret to sounding fluent. It's not about how many words you know, but how naturally you can use the ones you do. So, the next time you sit down to study English, skip the long lists. Instead, focus on learning real, meaningful expressions. Build your language from phrases that reflect your everyday life, things you actually say, hear, and feel. Because when you learn through context, you aren't just learning English, you're living it. Conclusion. Start your 10-minute habit today. Fluency doesn't come from studying for hours once in a while. It's built in the quiet moments, the ones you repeat every day. You don't need a perfect plan, or hours of free time, or even a study partner. What you need is consistency. 10 focused minutes every day are far more powerful than 2 hours once a week, because those 10 minutes rewire your brain, slowly but surely, to think, respond, and express itself in English without hesitation. So start small. Pick just one habit. Maybe today, you'll describe what you're doing out loud. Tomorrow, you might think in English during your walk or while cooking. The next day, you could review phrases you actually use in real life. These moments may feel small, but together, they form the foundation of fluency. Each repetition strengthens your confidence, your rhythm, and your connection with the language. Don't wait for the right time or for motivation to strike. The perfect time is now. The more you practice, even for a few minutes, the more natural English becomes. Remember, fluency is not built in giant leaps. It's built in quiet, daily steps. So, which of these simple habits will you start today? Let this be the day you take real action. If you found this helpful and want more practical, science-backed tips to improve your English faster, make sure to subscribe to English Uncovered. Join a growing community of learners committed to building fluency one day and one habit at a time.